Just when these headlines, make sure they're back to back. So you do it anywhere you can. You could probably put them in the bottom if you want. Guys, we're going to get started here in a matter of moments. We're just getting Bill McChesney. We're going to get going here. Oh, 224. Give us 1 second, guys. We're going to get going. And you can change properties to parcels to save some room. I Facebook DM'd you that headline. Change properties to parcels, and then I'm setting you the second one. I sent you the last one. All right, guys, we're going to get rocking and rolling here. Take a look at the, we got the first headlines in there, J-Dubs. We're getting headlines slowly on screen. We're a tad behind here, but we're about to get started. We have some details on the Cherry Avenue development project that is important to relay to you from a community meeting last night. This is a pretty significant project, what they're proposing on Cherry Avenue. 501 Cherry Avenue, the old Kim's Market, the old IGA location right across from Tonsler Park. We're going to relay the specs and just have kind of an open-ended conversation with you, the viewer and listeners, to get to know your thoughts. The centerpiece of this is, of course, going to be a grocery store. And then a lot of us are asking, is the grocery store the best fit there? I understand that Olivia Branch made this comment that the neighborhood wants a grocery store, and we absolutely have to take into consideration what the neighborhood wants. First and foremost, we have to take into consideration what the neighborhood wants. That's a point that Olivia made. I have tremendous respect for Olivia. I'm just going to ask questions and see what you guys think on today's show. Give it a like, give it a share anywhere you're watching. We got the YouTube stream up. J-Dubs, let us know when the headlines are in. Appreciate you scrambling here. We kind of went in a direction last minute here. Things are busy at our headquarters, at our office. And sometimes the busy nature of some of the deal flow we're working on takes some of the time away from what we're doing with our weekly show. We love doing the weekly show, but we also got to stay on top of what we're trying to do with the program. You also got to set up the stream for LinkedIn. Yeah. J-Dubs. Okay, I'd hit go because we're going to have viewers and listeners over there. Thank you. And then let me know when you're ready to lock and load. The Cherry Avenue project is quite significant. Some of the specs of the grocery store, $3 million to build a 7,000 square foot grocery store is a lot of money, but I mean, that's the cost of doing business today when you're doing development. I want to highlight some of the other specs. John, we'll get to you on LinkedIn here in a matter of moments. Are you live on LinkedIn, J-Dubs? Okay, fantastic. Excellent work. And then you got headlines in? Okay. All right. Headlines are going to be in here shortly. We're going to start the program here in a matter of moments. We got a lot we're going to cover on the show. I'm blown away by Brian Pinkston yesterday. The news I found out from Neil Williamson in a joint councilor-supervisor meeting that Charlottesville City Councilor Brian Pinkston feels the city is 10 to 15% underfunded. I was blown away by that. I still find myself blown away by that. I want to talk about that today on the program. Judah's going to get the headlines here in a matter of moments. Give me a thumbs up once those are in so we can start. We're going to talk 501 Cherry Avenue, the Woodard Properties project in conjunction with Piedmont Housing Alliance. The city has a massive say in what's going on here as well. Certainly some influence. A lot to cover, man. The city that never sleeps is a city that keeps me thinking at all hours of the day. Give the show a like and a share anywhere you're watching. We'll get rocking and rolling here in, I think, T-minus 15 seconds. Once J-Dubs gives me the green light that the headlines are in. Are we live on my Facebook page, Judah? Yep, we are live. All right, headlines are on screen. Take a look at the screen, guys. Take a look at the screen. If you like real estate, if you got like the economy and the intersection of government and how it applies to real estate and the economy, I think you're going to appreciate today's show. All right, looks like we're ready to rock and roll. Good work, Judah. Let's rock and roll when you're ready. It's the Tuesday edition of the I Love CVille show. Good afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you for joining us. We're live in downtown Charlottesville. We are 50 yards from the police station and right around the corner from City Hall, where Charlottesville City Council meets, a dais that is currently made up of Juan Diego Wade as mayor, Brian Pinkston vice mayor, Natalie Oshrin, Michael Payne, and Lloyd Snook as councilors. So much policy and storyline originates. And a joint meeting last week, I want to champion Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, for bringing this to my attention. He was at this joint meeting with council and the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, probably one of the few that actually watched it from start to finish. I certainly did not. Neil certainly did. He said in this meeting a couple of things stood out to him. A, the limited number of Virginia UVA employees who live in Charlottesville and Albemarle County, although Deep Throat has pushed back on that narrative some. He sent a lot of context via email and direct message to us on how that narrative could be misconstrued. But what stood out to me the most, and why Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, put it on our radar, Brian Pinkston, vice mayor of Charlottesville, said he believes the city is 10 to 15% underfunded. Underfunded. I was flabbergasted and floored by those remarks by the vice mayor. And as a result of that comment, and I've been thinking about Charlottesville, its budget, how it's changed in my 24 years in this community, and where we're heading pretty much for the last 24 hours. It's no secret that the family household income median, according to HUD, $124,200, second most expensive in the Commonwealth. It's no secret that the community, from an affordability standpoint, from a diversity standpoint, is becoming less and less every year, certainly in my 24 years. To say we're 10 to 15% underfunded, the week after, actually it was the same week, he announces on WINA that he's going to run most likely for re-election, is something that perked my radar. The incumbent has a huge advantage when running for re-election. And this will be Pinkston when he runs next year, his third try at council. Remember, he ran once and did not win, ran the second time and won, and he's indicated he's going to run a third time. If I was a betting man, and I am a gambling man, I'd say the mayor, Juan Diego Wade, would probably run for re-election. I doubt folks are going to take that bet. Judah, you wouldn't take the bet, would you? Would you say Juan's going to not run next year for re-election for a second term?
Not run?
Would you say he's going to run for a second term, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, so he wouldn't take that bet. So when a counselor says we're underfunded by 10 to 15%, is that foreshadowing for more tax increases? And what do those tax increases do? I think it further creates unaffordability and further diminishes diversity. So today's program is going to have topic matter and content from that lens. I'm going to utilize a couple of facts from Sean Tubbs' Community Substack today, If you look at the screen, you will see 2019 in the city of Charlottesville, there were 15,071 taxable parcels in Charlottesville that generated tax revenue north of $72 million. 5 years later, 15,114 taxable parcels in the city that generated revenue north of $104 million. That's quite a jump in 5 years.
Especially with a barely noticeable jump in properties.
That's in parcels. It's quite a jump there. It's quite a jump. So I asked the question, if we're 10 to 15% underfunded, and as Deep Throat put it to us in an email, which I'll get to in a matter of moments, where's the money going? How could it better be spent? What needs to be cut? And if Charlottesville, which Deep Throat says has the 11th highest property tax per capita out of 132 jurisdictions in the Commonwealth, even though we are 129th in the number of public school students per capita, and Charlottesville has a subvention from the county, and we get huge lodging tax and meals tax based on UVA tourism, where's the money going? How are locals so massively overtaxed? We'll talk about that today. We'll talk about Barracks Road. Barracks Road is adding new tenants to its roster, and it will have a tenant roster that will match 2018 standards. The last best year for Barracks Road from an occupancy standpoint was 2018. First, I want to unpack the meeting that happened last night with the Fifeville Neighborhood Association as it applies to 501 Cherry Avenue, a development project that's happening with Woodard Properties, Anthony Woodard leading the charge over there, PHA, Piedmont Housing, and community stakeholders. 501 Cherry Avenue is going to change the landscape of this very important corridor. And I've said on this show, we have a city that's 10.2 square miles. I've said on the show, the most underperforming stretches of Charlottesville right now are High Street and Cherry Avenue. This development project at 501 Cherry Avenue, the old Kim's Market, the old IGA grocery store across from Tonsler Park, is the gateway to Cherry. And this project is currently percolating 71 apartments, 14 of those 71 studio apartments, 27 one-bedroom apartments, 26 two-bedroom apartments, and 4 three-bedroom apartments. 10 of those apartments will be tied to 30% AMI, 8 at 40% AMI, 18 at 50% AMI, and 35 at 60% AMI, and $3 million earmarked for a 7,000 square foot grocery store in what is a food desert, Cherry Avenue. So we're going to unpack this project, ask you, the viewer and listeners, your thoughts of the project, how it could change Cherry Avenue, a historically marginalized community, Fifeville, how it will change, how 71 apartments could impact the neighborhood, how a 3 million, 7,000 square foot grocery store could impact the neighborhood. And you got to ask the question, does a grocery store a couple of blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks removed from Reed's end Reed's life cycle? I hate to say that. Some folks are saying on Twitter, a grocery store on Cherry does not mean the end of Reed's. It's not about competition, it's about propping both up. I push back and say there's only so many customers, folks, that are going to support Reed's and Cherry Avenue. There's only a base of customers that will patronize these locations. The large base of customers are patronizing Wegmans, Teeter, Kroger, Whole Foods, Foods of All Nations. It's a wealthy community. We have to cut to the chase. So much we're going to cover on the program. I want to give some props to Pro Renata Judah, if we can get some photos on screen. Dr. John Shabe goes from dentist to beer baron, and Pro Renata, the brand, is absolutely booming. John Shabe, Pro Renata, downtown Stanton, a sports bar in Crozet, beer making in the Shenandoah Valley. Pretty impressive what they're doing over there. Also want to highlight Mexicali restaurant with 50 parking spots on site. It's a restaurant in an art museum, basically in an art museum, with a cocktail bar that's one of the most significant in the city, Mexicali, River Hawkins, John Urinalis. Judah, on a two-shot, I ask you the same question to start each program. Which headline today do you find most intriguing and why?
Just a second. I think it's interesting the numbers that that Sean Tubbs has posted on his Substack, and also the fact that those numbers don't take into account the 2-cent raise in real property tax rates not long after.
We'll talk about that today. Last night in Fifeville, a historically marginalized community that's going through significant gentrification right now, a community gathered together. And they gathered together to listen, to learn. It was a town hall. You had a developer, you had a nonprofit in Piedmont Housing Alliance, you had a developer in Woodard Properties, speaking with the community. And last night's meeting was as diverse a clientele or melting pot as you would find in Charlottesville. And that's a reflection of what Fifeville still is today. Fifeville, like 10th and Page, is changing rapidly. There are few affordable pockets of housing in Charlottesville. And the ones that are left, Cherry Avenue, Fifeville, Tonsler Park, 10th and Page, Star Hill, are changing quickly. Friend of the program, Chris Kabash, talk to this guy all the time. Commercial broker, deal maker, enjoy having a cold beverage with him. He had the listing for Kim's Market and this grocery store on the corner of Cherry and across from Tonsler Park. And for years, he tried to sell this piece of property. He represented a client, a divorcee, who got the old grocery store and a divorce settlement. And as a stopgap, this piece of property was fenced, and it became a headquarters for a Shenandoah Valley construction company that was a preferred contractor of the University of Virginia. That wasn't a long-term solution, nor did the rent revenue justify keeping this particular tenant in place long-term. Furthermore, a construction company that uses fence as a barricade and doesn't keep the property in the best of condition is not what's best for the community. So the property is sold, and it's sold to Woodard Properties, Keith Woodard's company. His son Anthony now running it. Anthony, from everything I have heard, is focused on conscious capitalistic development. Conscious capitalistic development is a business that runs in the black while also focused on improving the footprint of the community it does business within. Some folks call that social entrepreneurship. And Mr. Anthony Woodard is looking to welcome the Fifeville community into these fireside chats, these forums, where he can explain to them what he's trying to do with his projects before the projects start. And that happened last night. A flyer was given to those in attendance. I have a copy of that flyer, and it clearly outlines the project. 71 apartments, 100% of them, Judah, tied to affordability. 14 studio apartments, 27 one-bedroom apartments, 26 two-bedroom apartments, and 4 three-bedroom apartments. 10 of the apartments at 30% area median income, 8 of the apartments at 40% area median income, 18 apartments at 50% area median income, and 35% at 60% area median income. This is all on the flyer. 78 off-street parking spaces, 14 on-street parking spaces, a grocery store of 7,000 square feet in nature at a $3 million clip to develop, which pencils its way out to $428 a square foot in development cost. This is a serious project here that will change what Cherry looks like. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you, the viewer and listener, what you think the impact of 71 apartments at the corner of Cherry and Ridge are going to do to the Fifeville neighborhood and to Tonsler Park across the street. I want to ask you this question. The project is tied to AMI, but as AMI increases, now $124,200 according to HUD per household, certainly going to be more in 2024. And as Council is already giving the indication that the city is underfunded, so we're likely going to raise taxes. We highlight Sean in his Substack, where in 2019 there were 15,071 taxable parcels that brought in $72,657,974 in revenue, taxable revenue. And in 2024, $104,649,940 in taxable revenue on 15,114 parcels. So this is what I want to unpack. How will the project change the neighborhood? What's the project going to do to Reed's Market? What's the project going to do to the Market Street Market right here next to us, Judah? You think it doesn't have any effect on Market Street Market?
I'm not sure how much effect it'll have on either of them. I mean, we are talking about places that people are walking to. Do we really think people are walking? I know Cherry to Reed's is not excessively far, but
I think it certainly has an impact on Reed's. I think it has much less of an impact on the Market Street Market downtown.
Yeah,
because
no doubt.
the downtown consumer is not probably going from downtown into Fifeville or onto Preston.
No.
But I think the 10th and Page and the Star Hill and the Fifeville neighborhoods are the ones patronizing Reed's right now. What do you make of 71 on that corner? Apartments.
You mean whether or not it's a good idea?
What do you make of 71 on that corner?
I think 71 affordable units is great for Charlottesville. I mean, building more housing has been a goal for the city, and with these all being some form of affordable, I think it's a good thing.
A question that has just been posed on DM is a question I was going to ask you, the viewer and listener. The 7,000 square foot grocery store that's going to cost $3 million to build is a structure. Who's going to run the grocery store?
Aren't they
and
looking
what's
right
that
now?
grocery store going to look like?
Yeah.
He's developing the structure for a grocery store.
Yeah, it's just a shell, right?
It's a shell because the neighborhood says we're in a food desert. Who's going to run the store and what does it look like? Does anyone have that answer?
I mean, it's not like you can hire people for a project that's how many years out?
I would think you would have a plan in place of who's going to execute a $3 million project years out.
Yeah.
This is $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just going to build a structure without a plan on who's going to run it.
You're talking about administration?
Who's going to run the business?
Yeah.
Who's going to stock the
Administrative.
shelves? Who's going to order the food? Who's going to order the milk? Who's going to cashier it? Who's going to take the trash out? Who's going to pay the bills?
I can understand planning for who's going to administrate the the business, but I can't see. There's no way they're going to keep people on hold for like a cashier job.
I respectfully disagree with you on that one.
So when is this supposed to be finished getting built?
I think that is a very good question.
And you think they're going to have bag boys and
I think
and
they need
dairy
to have
stockers hired?
An operator in place. They would want an operator in place as soon as the shovel cracks the ground.
But that doesn't mean all the positions that are going to make this place run.
I would think the operator is going to have an idea of who's going to staff it. We're saying on this, we've said on this talk show so many times that frontline jobs tied to paying hourly wage workers to keep the business afloat are extremely difficult. Those positions are difficult to fill. We say that all the time. Are we in agreement that those positions are going to become more difficult to fill every year that goes by in Charlottesville?
Probably.
Probably is yes. And the answer why that's yes is why?
Go ahead.
Because it's more expensive to live here. And paying someone $14 an hour, $12 an hour, $10 an hour to stock shelves or take the trash out or to keep the milk from spoiling as you take it off the truck and pull it in the cooler, that's going to be a tough person to find. So I'd like to know today, or I'm sure, and this is just a guy who's hosting a talk show, I'm sure the Woodards would like to know this. I would hope PHA would like to know this. I'd like to think that Fifeville's Neighborhood Association would like to know this. How is the grocery store going to look from an execution and staffing standpoint? And I think if we just say, if we build it, they will come, and it will be figured out, is a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream. Because 2024, when we get the median family household income, it's going to be more than $124,200. And guess what? 2-3 blocks removed from that with Reed's, they had to lay off most of their staff. And you know why they had to lay off most of their staff?
Not enough money.
They couldn't afford to keep them. So here we have a community forum. I love community forums. And I love the transparency and communication that Woodard and PHA are trying to provide here. I would hope that UVA would take a lesson from this playbook as it applies to some of the investigation that's coming on with UVA Health. But I'm getting off track. I'm going to stay focused here.
And it's not going to happen.
You have a meeting with the Neighborhood Association and community leaders where they tell the community we're going to have 71 apartments, all affordable, 14 studios, 27 one-bedrooms, 26 two-bedrooms, 4 three-bedrooms. They're going to be all tied to AMI in some capacity, and we're going to kick $3 million to build a grocery store shell across from Tonsler Park to try to solve the food desert, which was the number one thing we heard from the Neighborhood Association when we decided to purchase 501 Cherry Avenue and bring plans to develop it. We listened to learn. That's what they did. We're giving you marketing collateral at the meeting, outlining a flyer in very clear and succinct fashion what this project is going to be all about. Right? If you build something that is the size of Reed's and bigger than the grocery store right next to us, and you try to duplicate the model that is Reed's and the grocery store next to us, at a time when the grocery store next to us and Reed's are scraping by and having a difficult time staffing, is that a good approach? Or is it setting up a recipe for disappointment?
Well, neither Reed's nor Market Street Market have a built-in group of people that are likely going to live and shop right there, right?
You don't think Reed's has a captive customer base?
Not like this.
Star Hill neighborhood, the Rose Hill neighborhood, the 10th and Page neighborhood, I could make an extremely compelling argument that Reed's has a significantly more captive customer base than Fifeville.
Okay.
Fifeville has the neighborhood that is Cherry Avenue and maybe some of that southern part of downtown around Three Notched and Hicks Park. Reed's is right in the middle of Rose Hill, 10th and Page, Fifeville, and Start Hill, literally in the middle.
Okay.
And does it have better walkability? Might even have better walkability, and it's got an established brand that's been around forever. I'd say it's the flip side of that.
Despite the fact that this is going to have 71 units built above and around it?
71 apartments, right? How many are on 3 streets on Rose Hill across the street from it?
Couldn't tell you.
Hundreds. Hundreds. Where else is the housing density around the Fifeville grocery store?
Down the road.
Maybe you go to Prospect, the Prospect neighborhood. You can go there. I'm spitballing out loud with you. Vanessa Parkhill.
But the fact of the matter is, no matter what numbers you pull up, people are still saying that Cherry is a food desert.
They are saying Cherry is a food desert. They also said that Rose Hill, 10th and Page, and Star Hill were food deserts. And the grocery store's not working there.
Fair enough.
The same argument is being made. You have a planning commissioner on Twitter and Rory Stolzenberg tweeting this on the record. He says, "It's honestly baffling to me that we're putting all this time and effort into this quest for a tiny grocery store to serve Fifeville and not giving a second of lip service to the fact that Reed's is in dire straits and 10th and Page and Rose Hill could become food deserts." I don't agree with Stolzenberg a lot of times. I respect what he says because he backs it up with intelligence and research. I do agree with Rory some of the time. And he's straight up saying to me that it makes he's straight up saying on the record, he's a planning commissioner. He's an appointed official. And he's straight up saying, it baffles me that we're putting all this effort into a grocery store on Fifeville and not giving any kind of second thought or any kind of encouragement or momentum or additional support to Reed's. And if Reed's doesn't make it, more people will be in a food desert, 10th and Page, Rose Hill, Star Hill, than what is currently happening with the food desert in Fifeville.
So what's the solution for Reed's? Is that for the city to move in and help out?
I don't
think anybody does.
I think the time for the city to move in and help out, that kind of lifeline should never happen.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think the city should have offered the lifeline on the mobile home park. And then right after the mobile home park was funded with a bridge loan, the opportunity, although it was in the county, Albemarle, for a CAV crossing would have been much more significant to help with some kind of bridge loan or joint venture with Albemarle to keep CAV crossing affordable as opposed to allowing a Northern Virginia developer to buy it for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. And the counselors have said on the record in emails shared with me that they have no proof that an actual offer existed. No proof that an actual first offer existed for the mobile home park.
That's crazy.
Effing crazy. Vanessa Parkhill says she would encourage the young people from the neighborhood to work in that new grocery store. That's what many of my friends did in high school, and that's mainly how our community store here in Earlysville staffed many of its positions for many years. I love the comment from Vanessa Parkhill. I respect her opinion tremendously. I remember the Earlysville grocery store. That Earlysville grocery store, Vanessa, if memory serves correct, is now a mechanic shop. Could you offer some perspective on that? That Earlysville grocery store, if memory serves correct, and Vanessa helped me here, failed and is now a mechanic shop. The grocery store that's next to us that we're in there every day, the staff that runs the grocery store is probably what? The same 6 people? Jasmine working the register.
They've had some changes over the months.
This is the same 6 faces pretty much every day you go in there.
A lot of them are.
Someone calls in sick, you'll from time to time see the register unattended, and then you will have to go behind the deli counter and find someone to ring you up.
Okay.
It's happened to me dozens of times.
Wow.
And we do things by the book, we just wait there. But if you notice in the grocery store next door, they had 2 entrances to get in and out. One of the entrances they had to lock. You know the reason they had to lock that entrance?
Tell us.
Shoplifting and theft. So now they have only one entrance and exit on the Market Street Market, which is the one next to the grocery store, and not the other one that was more in the corner of the grocery. They said, we could not keep eyes on this door because they didn't have enough staff. Georgia Gilmer says, you're right, Jerry. The Earlysville grocery store is some kind of auto store. I believe it's a mechanic shop. If you're tuning into the program, the gist of today's show was based on knowledge shared to me by the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, Neil Williamson. He was probably the only person in attendance of a joint meeting with Albemarle County Board of Supervisors and Charlottesville City Councilors that happened last week. And one of the items that stood out to Neil, which he shared on the show in a comment, was Brian Pinkston, the Vice Mayor of Charlottesville, believes we are 10 to 15% underfunded with Charlottesville, with its budget. I've been thinking about that since yesterday when Neil shared that with us. Neil's going to be hosting Real Talk on Friday at 10:15 a.m. So these are great topics we can pontificate about with Neil. After thinking about the fact that the city's been underfunded, according to Brian Pinkston, for 10 to 15%, a vice mayor who said he's going to run for re-election, I would imagine the vice mayor has some kind of hopes of being the mayor. He may not say that on the record, but I would think he has some hopes of being the mayor when he runs for another term. I asked myself, where's this additional 10 to 15% going to come from? And does it just mean more taxes on us, business owners, real estate owners, property owners? And then I read Sean Tubbs' community Substack, and he said today, in 2019, the land book of Charlottesville listed 15,071 taxable properties, and in 2019, those properties generated $72.6 million. And then he highlighted this year, the same land book highlights 15,114 taxable properties and revenue of over $104.6 million. That's a massive jump.
Mm-hmm.
A massive jump, right? That's a jump of $32 million
Yeah.
in 5 years.
Without a corresponding jump in parcels.
Exactly. Well said. So I asked myself, what's going on? And then after reading that, I then start thinking about the meeting that happened last night with the Fifeville Neighborhood Association, where the property developer is handing out a flyer. And this flyer is basically the back of the napkin playbook of what he's going to do with the project. He says, we're going to have 71 apartments, and these are going to be the breakdown. I love the breakdown of the apartments. I absolutely love how he's doing this. He's got studio apartments. We need more of those in this community, 14 of them. I think one of the biggest mistakes Kathy Galvin made as city councilor during her day was kiboshing Oliver Kutner, friend of the program, recently married Oliver Kutner, micro apartment project off Water Street. He wanted to build micro apartments over there. Kathy Galvin said, not so fast, my friend. And those projects never materialized. And frankly, Oliver started developing downtown Lynchburg. Anthony's going to do 14 studios, 27 one-bedrooms, 26 two-bedrooms, and 4 three-bedrooms at 501 Cherry Avenue, all tied to area median income. On paper, this is genius. He's going to build a $3 million shell for a 7,000 square foot grocery store. We're talking a grocery store the size of basically Reed's across from Tonsler Park. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here just asking questions that I think you, the viewers and listener, may want to consider. Who's going to keep this grocery store in operation and staff it? And if a grocery store 3 or 4 blocks down the road, Reed's, that's got history and an institutional brand, can't get customers or staff, how's this one going to be any different? The same one 3 or 4 blocks down the road is having a hard time keeping staff, the one next to us.
I wouldn't call it the same one.
A similar model.
How do you know the model's going to be similar?
It's a grocery store. You do the same things.
Okay.
You sell the same stuff. They're not going to do what Wegmans is doing or Foods of All Nations are doing.
Okay.
They sell. I mean, they do the same things. They're not doing podcasting. They're selling food. I highlighted a few weeks ago that the model should be completely different, and the model should be a drop. It should be a pickup spot with stuff ordering done on a phone. Mm-hmm. But that's not what's happening. Comments are coming in quickly. She said, yes, Jerry, that grocery store in Earlysville struggled after Harris Teeter opened years ago. It changed hands twice, the Earlysville one, after the original owner sold it. Sadly, it eventually closed. Yes, it's now an auto repair shop. They are a good community business as well. They seized the opportunity to move into the old Whiff's supermarket location, which was across the road from their original space because their auto shop was busting at the seams. White, is that what it is, Vanessa? I think the future of Reed's, whether we want to admit this or not, is the fact that they own that land. They own the land. And the exit is the sale of the property. That's the future. Spencer Pushard, watching the program. Holly Foster, Kevin Hickens, watching the program. I'll go to LinkedIn. John Blair, there's one of the gentlemen that staffed the grocery store right there. John Blair says, I will only say this, Reed's and its inventory struggles of late are known. In Roanoke, there was a small discount grocery chain called Mick or Mac. The last one closed in 2019. In Danville, Old Dutch, another discount grocery chain, is down to 2 locations. They had 4 locations just a few years ago. Super Dollar Discount Grocery closed in Lynchburg years ago. Grocery stores are about scale in 2024, and one thing that hasn't been mentioned on your show is that Aldi's has effectively bought the effects of scale to discount groceries in America. That just makes it that much harder for an independent grocery store in 2024. It's a good comment from Mr. Blair. This is from Deep Throat. Rule of thumb for rural grocery stores, which I know from Montana, is that you need 2,500 to 3,500 customers to support a grocery. And that's for a situation where there isn't much nearby competition, so assumes that these people will do almost all of their shopping there. That is not the case here. You need to look at the number of households in close proximity to Cherry. Maybe you get some customers from UVA Health shopping on their way to and from work. And he also says the total tax take for all sources in Charlottesville per capita is 16% above average of Virginia independent cities and 9% above the average of Virginia counties. Oof. He's already saying we're taxing folks enough, is what he's saying. Do you think there are 2,500 to 3,500 customers that will keep this Cherry Avenue grocery store that's $3 million to build a shell alive? And I've said it, Judah,
what's the population of Charlottesville again?
The population of Charlottesville is less than 50,000.
Yeah.
I've said this once, and I'll say it again. And I'm saying it with the same conviction that I said with the new zoning ordinance was going to create unaffordability as opposed to affordability.
Mm-hmm. What does that have to do with the grocery store?
I'm speaking with the same conviction I did years ago with the new zoning ordinance. Same confidence and conviction. Mm-hmm. If the path of building a 7,000 square foot grocery shell on the corner of Cherry and Ridge is pursued, and the model is pick up goods from a shelf and take it to a checkout, even a self-checkout line, and leave, that model is not going to work. Olivia made the point to me, and she's watching today, and I respect her tremendously. This is what the community wants. This is what the community wants. And her point is a great one. We have to listen to community members. And that's what Anthony and Woodard and PHA did last night. And they even gave them a one-sheeter that we have that's the playbook of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
If I go into my doctor for my routine checkup, and he says to me, Jerry, do you drink, smoke? Do you eat unhealthy foods? What's your sugar intake? What's your red meat intake? What's your cholesterol intake? And I say to him, Doc, I want to have 3 to 4 IPAs a night, and I want to eat red meat and a loaded baked potato, and I want to follow it up with an ice cream sandwich and eat a bagel with cream cheese for breakfast and have a slice of pizza for lunch. That's what I want to do. What will the doc say to me? He's going to say, it's going to kill you if you keep that diet up. It's going to kill you. Anthony Woodard has a neighborhood that says, I want a grocery store where I can buy my milk and my sandwiches and my bread and my breakfast, lunch, and dinner and walk to my house. Mr. Woodard has got to say, I hear what you want, but this is what the reality is. Just like the doctor says to you, no, Jerry, you can't have 3 IPAs, 18-ounce steak, a loaded baked potato, and an ice cream sandwich, and then the next morning eat a bagel with cream cheese and have a slice of Vita Nova pizza for lunch. I don't care how much exercise you do in the day. That's going to kill you.
So is this foolish for Woodard?
And that's the thing I'm uncertain about. This is the thing that I'm uncertain about. The man is a smart person. His dad is really smart. He's taken over his dad's business. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, this is his pass the torch project. Keith Woodard, one of the most renowned and sophisticated and established and legacy-backed developers in the city. Mm-hmm. He is stepping back. His son Anthony, after I believe a military career, is coming in. If this is his pass the torch project, this is one he's got to get right. Does he face the music and say, I hear that the neighborhood wants this, but this ain't going to work, y'all? And then the next question is, if he says, I hear this is what the neighborhood wants, but this ain't going to work, y'all? Does he face the music and not do the project? Or does he do what we saw with Chris did, Henry, with Stony Point, where he wanted to do phase 3? Mm-hmm. And his mind was changed because of political pressure and community outcry. Deep Throat says, is this a fall guy being built? Woodard does it, he gets an operator, and the operator does the risk, has the risk.
But it's still part of his. It's still part of this production, right? It's still going to be
one of his holdings, is what you're saying.
I mean, it's going to be part of the 501 Cherry Avenue development project,
right? The centerpiece of it.
So what happens if the centerpiece of his project just becomes an empty shell? It seems like
Or worse
seems
than
like
worse than empty shell.
It seems like he should be as invested in the success of the grocery as anyone.
What are you saying? He should be the operator?
No, I'm just saying that it seems like it would be in his best interest to make sure that this succeeds.
100% in his best interest is collecting a rent check.
And if the only thing that he's doing to make it succeed is build the shell, that seems extremely short-sighted.
Questions I'm asking.
Because you can't be the only person that's saying, this isn't going to work.
I don't think I'm the only person.
And I doubt he's surrounded by yes men.
What's that?
I find it hard to believe that he's surrounded by yes men who are just saying, yeah, this is a great idea.
Or is it the response of community pressure?
Yeah, but why would you waste $3 million on community pressure on something that you are convinced is going to fail?
Because it was the way to build 71 apartments. Because it was the way to greenlight 71 apartments. And the 71 apartments, even though they're tied to AMI, is going to generate a boatload of money.
Cynical, but this is Charlottesville, so I'll allow it.
How you get 71 apartments
is by promising something like this.
A 7,000-foot grocery store and $3 million shell.
Fair enough.
And then you do the communication, the outreach, the marketing, the branding, the fireside chats, the community forums.
Mm-hmm.
The play isn't the rent from a 7,000 square foot grocery store.
Yeah.
The play is the 71 apartments. Or is it what he just said? Is it what he just said? We tried to find an operator. We couldn't find the operator, but we tried.
We're going to have to turn it into something else.
We tried. We did it. We gave you the plans.
And that's why he's just building the shell, because that way he can change it to anything else that he wants. Could be. Sorry, it's not going to work.
I mean, who?
Plan B, which was actually Plan A, is now in effect.
Who in their right mind would go into a business model that operates on the slimmest and tightest margins humanly possible, that's tied to a staffing base that you can't find in a city because it's so expensive to live in? In an area that has not enough customers support it, with a proof of concept that's been around for generations a few blocks away, that had to do a $20,000 GoFundMe to save its model and is now on the cusp of closing. Like I think we're not. We never ever pretend to be the smartest people in the room. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. Ever. If I'm the smartest person in the room, I want to change the rooms and get the hell out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I sincerely mean that. If I find myself the smartest person in the room, I'm finding a new freaking room.
I'm in the wrong room.
I'm in the wrong room.
Mm-hmm.
I never pretend to be that. I just trying to read the tea leaves. 3 blocks away, something that's been around for a generation, that's the same size, that has more customers around it, had to do a GoFundMe to stay alive. And it's still on the cusp of going down.
There's got to be more than just a one-to-one here, though. There's got to be... What are we missing about Reed's? I don't think that it was just that. I mean, there's got to be more, right? If Reed's has been chugging along, for decades, I get that a lot has changed since the pandemic. But is there more to what's going on at Reed's that could be applied to create a more successful model that works at Cherry? I'm just throwing things out here because
I appreciate that.
I don't think it's just a matter of not having enough customers.
The successful model in 2024 is a pickup point. Food ordered, groceries ordered on the phone, where you can click a button like my wife does, reorder the groceries. All the stuff is archived on the phone. You just click a reorder button and you pick it up there. You can still do the grocery model to solve the food desert, but it doesn't need the level of staffing. It can be more, it could be, I highlighted this a couple of weeks ago. In Richmond, Virginia, in the Henrico area of Richmond, there's real estate development entrepreneurs that are pursuing cooler warehouses. They're refrigerating warehouses. Warehouses that are just lined with refrigerators and freezers.
Mm-hmm.
They're building warehouse space, or they're remodeling, redeveloping warehouse space, converting it from what we know as warehouse space to warehouse space that is freezers and refrigerators. That is what I think that location should be. And you don't need 7,000 square feet for refrigerators and freezers. And you say on Mondays, these people pick up their groceries, and it's done by your phone in an app. On Tuesdays, these people pick up their groceries. Wednesdays, these people pick up your groceries. You pay for them through your phone.
What if you missed your day?
You don't miss your day because it's your food.
What if you can't make your day?
Then you can you're thinking of reasons why things can't work. And I'm thinking of reasons why things can work. It's a difference in mindset here. If you can't make it on Monday, you click the drop-down calendar on the app and you change it to Thursday. And maybe you incur a small fee for changing your date. This is not we're not making up a brand new concept here.
Okay.
Grocery pickup has worked in the past.
When it was well managed. We saw it right here in Charlottesville with Relay, until it was taken over and mismanaged.
Relay exited and got a nice chunk of change.
I believe he got, well, I don't know the details, but it was a shame what happened to Relay ultimately.
Well, because the buyers ran it into the ground. The new buyers.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. I believe it was a Colorado company that purchased Relay Foods.
I don't know anything about the company, but
the CEO of Relay tried to rent here for me in the Macklin building.
He's a great guy.
You know him?
Yeah, Zach Buckner?
From church?
Yeah.
Yeah. He made some coin, and then the new buyer tanked it.
Yeah.
Because they try to scale too quickly.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Neil Williamson, if grocery stores as we know them are going away, why are there long lines at 5:30 to 6:30 on most weeknights? Great question. You want to touch that one?
I know that some people are enamored of the idea of pushing a button and getting all the exact same stuff that you got last week, but I think a lot more of us want to walk up and down the aisles. There may be something that we know that we need and we can't think of, and seeing it on the wall is the reminder that we needed. Sometimes you just go and, most of the time I go in there and think, okay, I can't hungry shop. Other times I'm like, what do I feel like? And I don't want to scroll through some website and it's just...
How many items do you buy per week on each shop? Didn't we talk last time that every time you shop, you're in the 10 items or less aisle?
Most likely.
You have the shopping experience everyone wants.
But a lot of people do have that. That's why a lot of people go to Market Street Market. I don't know. I've never been to Reed's, so I don't know. But that's why a lot of people go to the store. People don't go to buy a week or 2 weeks worth of stuff to stuff in the freezer.
But that's not the consumer that's going to keep you afloat. The Judah Woodcarers of the world that buy 9 items what's your average spend at the grocery store? $47? What do you spend each week? What do you spend each week?
I don't know, Jerry.
$50?
I don't know.
Sometimes
I go twice a week. Sometimes I go 3 times a week.
My wife, we have an out-of-town squash pro staying at our house for a tournament that's happening at the Boar's Head. There's a Boar's Head squash tournament going on right now. And they asked us to host some of the pros in the tournament. So we have a gentleman from Sheffield, England, staying with us. At one time was 33 in the world, the defending champion. My wife is a fantastic host and wants to roll out the red carpet for this 24-year-old. He's going to live with us potentially for 5 or 6 days. depending on how well he does in the tournament. She went to the grocery store to Wegmans. Now, it's me, it's her, and it's two boys that are eating us out of the house and home, and they're 6 years old and 22 months old. She spent $500 at the grocery store.
Okay.
$500 at the grocery store. A grocery store is kept alive not by single people spending $47 at the checkout line, 10 items or less. It's kept alive by families. And you can't walk to a neighborhood grocery store walk to and from a neighborhood grocery store with $500 of groceries. You cannot do it.
Yeah.
She doesn't have enough arms to carry the bags.
Right.
And to Neil's question, Neil asked the question, why at 5:30 and 6 p.m., 5:30 to 6:30 p.m., are the lines out the door at the grocery stores?
Because at the end of the workday, sometimes there are things that you realize you don't have at home, and you don't have the time or don't want to go into an app, and I don't know how long they take. Do they get that stuff to you right that day?
You hit it. If you reorder, 98% of the stuff is available as soon as you order. Occasionally, you'll get notifications that what you ordered, it's out of stock, and then they'll fill you with a backup brand or something extremely similar.
But they drop that off at your house that day?
You can pick it up in the pickup line, in the pickup spot right outside the store.
So you have to go to the store anyways.
Or it can get delivered to you if you want to pay an extra fee. Often it's just teamed with a driving by the spot. And it's to save the headache and heartache of a 6-year-old and a 22-month-old being in there with you for an hour.
That's fair, but that's not everybody's experience.
Can you put the graph that Deep Throat just shared via DM on screen of the supermarkets and other grocery stores from 2017 to 2021? Look at this graph. I really appreciate him. I sincerely mean that, dude. You make the show better. So do you, John. So do you, Neil. So do you, viewers and listeners. I love just the crowdsource situation. And to answer Neil's question, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m., it's because people are teaming grocery shopping with getting off of work. So it's creating a log jam of customer between 5:30 and 6 p.m. That's when you don't want to go 5:30 to 6 p.m. because everyone's trying to do it then because they're doing it after work. Nora Gaffney, I 100% appreciate your comment. I want to read that on air. She says, some people don't have the funds to order ahead. They need milk or bread or eggs when they need them and have the money. Some communities still need a small grocery store that they can walk to. They can send the kids to pick things up. A community needs to support all kinds of shoppers. This might be the spot a small store would work. Listen to the folks in the community. I appreciate that comment, Nora Gaffney, and I want to listen to the folks in the community. I think the folks in the community are right. But I think the model should be different. I think the model should not be grab it off the shelves. It should be a pickup from coolers and fridges and freezers type of model. More of a drop. What is it called, Judah? What's that model called?
A drop spot?
Like a drop spot. A drop spot. I 100% appreciate what you're saying, Ms. Gaffney. 100%. I sincerely do. You got that graph on screen?
Now I do.
Look at the screen, viewers and listeners. Look at the screen. Tell me what you're seeing, Judah. Look from 2017 to 2021. What are you seeing?
Nothing has changed.
What? What do you mean nothing is changing?
Maybe I'm not looking close enough. Is there a significant
Small
trend
grocery
you're
stores
seeing?
disappearing.
A little bit.
Okay, all right. How about we try this approach? Just think about it from Charlottesville's standpoint. Belmont Market, the grocery store in Earlysville. There's 2, right?
Sure.
What's going on with Reed's? There's 3 off the top of my head. Viewers and listeners, give us some others. I can assure you there are more that we're just not thinking of on the fly right now. He says 10% drop in 5 years of the number of grocery stores with 5 employees or less, J-Dubs.
Okay. That's fair.
And he says it's not your fault because the scale is off on the graph. Kevin Higgins says this episode has the juice, and I love everyone being so real on this show. Juan Sarmiento, Latino grocery stores and Oriental grocery stores is what he's highlighting. And I appreciate Juan Sarmiento's commentary, but the Latino grocery store and the Oriental grocery store is serving more of a niche than the traditional discount grocery.
Yeah.
And Vanessa, I would argue that you can get the groceries faster in an online ordering environment than you can in an in-person purchasing environment.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
You should try Instacart.
I've seen the nightmare
Try Instacart.
stories about it.
Just try it once. Or do this, and I'll do this. If you do order to your house, the groceries, you get them ordered to your house. There's going to be a fee for that. I'll pay that fee, that delivery fee. You give me the receipt, the extra charge that you had to have the groceries delivered to your house. I will cover the delivery fee. We'll call it a work expense research. Call it research.
Instacart?
Go to Whole Foods. Do it through Whole Foods. Or do it through one of the any of the ones. There's so many of them that do this. Amazon. Amazon owns Whole Foods. Have the groceries delivered to you. I will pay the delivery fee to have them there.
I really don't want to support Amazon.
I will
have
pay
to.
the delivery fee. And I will bet you after you do this, you don't do the in-person experience again. Because I will bet you this. The time that you spend in your car, driving to and from the grocery store, walking in and out of the grocery store, and the gasoline you spend going to and from the grocery store, all this stuff, you will weigh that opportunity cost, walking through the grocery store, driving to the grocery store, gas to and from the grocery store, versus the fee to have them delivered to you, and you're going to be like, good Lord, this fee is way better path than all that stuff that I'm doing.
No, I don't know how that's even possible, considering the fact that I usually stop on the way to
Juan
somewhere.
Sarmiento says DoorDash delivers groceries. You could try that, Judah. Whole Foods through Amazon, Judah.
DoorDash, isn't that like $8 a delivery?
$8?
$8.
Oh my
yes.
God, it's $8. It's going to cost you a gallon of gas to and from the grocery store. That's going to cost $3.50. It's going to take you 12 minutes to drive there, 30 minutes to walk through it, and 12 minutes to drive back. You're going to spend an hour of your time and $3.50 of gas versus $8 and have them delivered on your doorstep. Or you can just sit on your couch and watch what are you Netflixing right now?
A, some of us have to worry about how much money we spend. B, I don't usually.
See the point I'm making? We'll be spending less.
No, I usually stop there when I'm already going to the gas station, which is past there, and half the time I go there, I'm not just getting the exact same thing every time, and I'm looking around for stuff that's on sale, which I won't get. Not to mention the fact that if somebody grabs me an avocado or an apple, or like, do I want the one that they chose, or do I want the one that I picked that's ripe or isn't like covered in bruises? I'm not saying that that everything is horrible with these apps.
You have a luxury that I'll be very authentic. You have Frank, you have a luxury that I envy. And that luxury, I've sincerely mean this, that I envy, is that you have the luxury of independence and freedom and time and
Not really. Well, yeah, in some ways. In other ways, no. But
dude, if and now I also got to caveat this. It's my wife that is keeping the household alive.
yeah, it's not like you ever stopped at the grocery store on your way home.
That's not true. I've stopped at plenty of grocery stores on the way home. She
For
has
skim milk.
If she goes in and out, hey, I love the Keswick from Bel Air. That sandwich is so good. Tiger Fuel, wow. If she has to go in and out of the grocery store with a 22-month-old and a 6-year-old, getting them in the car seat, getting them dressed, getting them in clothes, getting them
Yeah,
out of the car, you're talking like a 2.5 to 3 hour outing.
Sometimes I think your experience is as unique as mine, Jerry.
My
Because not
experience-
everybody is dealing with.
My experience is the norm for families. Ask parents with young children what it's like to go shopping. Ask parents with teenagers what it's like to go shopping.
And ask people that aren't married what it's like to go shopping.
And that's the
sometimes
element I envy.
Easiest thing. I know, but I'm saying I'm not unique. And there are plenty of people, like Neil Williamson points out, who are stopping at the grocery store. And sure, maybe it's not ideal to go there on the way home from work when it's busier than most other times, but that doesn't necessarily make it. Sometimes that's just part of your daily routine.
Charlottesville, Neil Williamson giving you some props right now. The Charlottesville Fire Department evidently loves the show we're doing right now. They're giving us some props as they drive by our studio. It's either they're giving us props as they drive by the studio or they're driving somewhere to save someone's life. I'm going to take it that they're driving by the studio and giving us props. He says, to Jerry's point, use of grocery delivery services in 2024 have risen 56% compared to 2022. And he says, to support Judah's point, 74% of grocery shoppers shop in person. Can I ask you this question? 74% of grocery shoppers shop in person. Do you think that number is going to go up or go down?
No, because people ordering from shopping
up or go
apps
down?
are murdering
Do you think
grocery
it's going to
stores.
go up or go down?
Of course it's going to go down.
Okay, so why would we
Because
build,
there are going to be less grocery stores because
why would we build a grocery store if we know that number is going to go down for in-person shoppers?
I mean, is there something that Jerry can invest in that is betting on the death of the American grocery store?
Is there some kind of index?
Yeah, I mean, you're clearly
Should I short? Should I
invested in the idea of it.
Can I invest in shorting the discount grocery store? Is there some kind of fund that I can invest in that shorts discount groceries?
I guess it would just be an index fund of things like DoorDash and Instacart.
Yeah. It would be me basically investing in some kind of fund that's offering delivery services.
Yeah.
Being bullish on that. People giving props on the show.
I mean, frankly, I think it's a shame. I mean, sadly,
It's a shame. You know
Yes.
what? Okay, it is a shame.
you're talking about the death of
It's
like
100% the shame.
the death of community, the
It's-
death of seeing your neighbor outside of like looking over the fence and saying, "Hey, Wilson," the death of just like being around people. The
Hey,
death.
Wilson, is that a Home Improvement reference? Tim the Toolman Taylor?
Yeah.
That's a great reference. That was a great
It
reference.
hurts my heart to think that this is the direction we're going, and most of the response is just, deal with it. Life is changing, and
Judah?
we're talking about businesses. We're talking about this isn't just Reeds. This is people that need jobs, people that entrepreneurs that think they can help a food desert neighborhood. And we're basically talking about the death of a lot of things that I think makes not just America but humans interesting, and I don't know.
That is some of the best commentary you've ever offered on the show.
Thank you.
I sincerely mean that. It is a commentary rooted in a communal, romantic nostalgia
Nostalgia.
of yesteryear. It is rooted in, hello, Wilson, will you bag my groceries for me? Oh, it's Jim, the meat cutter. He knows how I like my pork chops and my sirloin cut. It's the seafood guy. He knows I want 18 shrimp, a half a pound of lobster, and some crab cake. And there's Betty, the cashier, who's got her 2 daughters on my rec league soccer team. Let's talk about how we're going to do a cookie fundraiser to help them get enough revenue for their jerseys when the season starts. And I appreciate that romantic yesteryear nostalgia that you want to chug like Kool-Aid.
I don't want to chug it. I'm an introvert.
But capitalism is saying something else.
I would rather not be blindly led into a slaughterhouse by the nose ring for the almighty capitalist ideal. Do we just let this die?
The fixer sends me this text message. Whatever they do, they need to partner with Amazon to make it an Amazon Locker pickup and return drop-off. Only way you get the foot traffic. Exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying.
Amazon.
Doing a 7,000 square foot grocery store, $3 million to sell widgets on a shelf. Why don't we also sell some print ads in the morning newspaper and some print ads in the evening newspaper? And why don't we sell some 30-second spots on the AM radio dial? And why don't we also get the carrier pigeon to deliver the message from Albemarle County to Nelson County? And why don't we use the Morse code to keep the canoe on the Rivanna River from wrecking into the bank? Why don't we get the dial-up phone with the long extension cord that you can walk around the kitchen to call Laura, my wife, to coordinate the pickup of the kids?
Sarcasm noted.
Why don't we get the piece of paper and shove it in the machine after making copies of it with the big thing that takes up the entire room, and take the piece of paper and shove it in the machine and use the phone line to send something through the phone so the message can be sent to them?
Listen to you talking about these newfangled ideas. You ever heard of a mimeograph?
It's the same thing. The in-person grocery store experience is the fax machine, it's the Morse code, it's the phone book, it's the AM radio, it's the print page of the newspaper, it's the carrier pigeon.
It's the sad state of affairs.
And it's reality. And those of us that get reality quicker are those of us that are not left behind. Just ask Tom from MySpace.
Tom made bank. Tom doesn't give a squat.
Just ask Steve from Friendster. I am being nice to Judah. I'm being nice to Judah. I'm being nice to Judah. I just offered to pay for his delivery fee. I sincerely want you to take me up on that. That's market research for this talk show. That's a write-off. Seriously, give me the receipt.
I'll have to think of something to buy.
The same stuff you buy every week.
I don't need any of that stuff right now. I still have eggs. I still have, I go to the grocery store because I don't buy the same thing every day.
It's interesting. What is the common denominator of the people that are on the text chain, on the show stream? This is just on an eye test. The common denominator of the folks that are championing the in-person grocery experience. What do you think it is?
Who are we talking about?
The folks that are championing the in-person experience. There's currently 50 plus comments on my Facebook page alone. I can't count how many comments have come in on this. We'll close on this. What do you think the common denominator of those championing the in-person grocery experience?
I mean, all I can think is maybe they're single. I don't know.
No, 55 plus.
55 plus? Mm-hmm. So you're saying they're behind the times? And
I'm not saying they're behind the times. I'm not saying they're behind the times.
You're just implying it.
I'm not saying. I said 55 plus in age. Not saying behind the times. Today's show was good. I thought you were excellent today.
Thank you.
We went 80. Jeez Louise. We went nearly 90 minutes without stopping. 82 minutes without commercial break. It's the I Love CVille show. It's presented today by Pro Renata. It's presented today by Mexicali Restaurant. And it's presented today by Charlottesville Business Brokers. Thank you kindly for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the program. So long, everybody.